My daughter laughed at me in front of the entire family. Not a warm laugh, not a kind laugh. A cold, cruel laugh that cut through the room like a blade. Retirement account. Mama, what retirement account? You've never worked a day in your life. We were gathered in my living room for Sunday dinner. My 3 children, Denise, Warren, and Patricia, along with their spouses and my grandchildren. 22 people, all looking at me like I had just told a joke. I had mentioned, casually, that I was thinking about my retirement plans, that I wanted to discuss the future. And my daughter had laughed. I'm serious, Denise. I want to talk about. Mama, please, she waved her hand dismissively. You were a housewife for 50 years. Daddy was the one who worked. Daddy was the one who built everything. You just stayed home. Just stayed home. 50 years of cooking, cleaning, raising 3 children, managing a household, stretching every dollar, making a home out of nothing, reduced to just stayed home. My son Warren cleared his throat. Denise has a point, Mama. We appreciate everything you did for us growing up, but let's be realistic. Whatever savings you have came from Daddy's income, and honestly, we need to discuss what happens to this house when you're gone. When I'm gone, they were already dividing my life before I had finished living it. I'm 74 years old, I said quietly. I'm not gone yet. Of course not, Patricia chimed in, her voice sweet as poison. But we need to be practical. This house is worth a lot of money, and you're rattling around in it all alone. Maybe it's time to think about downsizing, moving somewhere smaller, somewhere more appropriate for your situation. My situation. Like I was a problem to be solved, an obstacle between them and what they wanted. I looked around the room at my children, at the people I had raised, fed, clothed, educated, the people I had sacrificed everything for. And I saw strangers looking back at me. I see, I said softly. Thank you all for your concern. Denise smiled, satisfied. We're just looking out for you, Mama. That's what family does. They thought I was broken. That was their first mistake. My name is Corinthia Me Jefferson. I am 74 years old. I have lived in this house for 48 years. I raised 3 children here, buried a husband from here, and built a life that my family apparently believes was worthless. They think I wasted my life as a homemaker. They think I have nothing. They have no idea what I actually have. No idea what I built while they were busy looking down on me. And they are about to find out. Let me tell you about my life. I married Roosevelt Jefferson when I was 22 years old. He was a good man, hardworking, steady, devoted. He worked at the steel mill for 35 years, came home every evening, handed me his paycheck, and trusted me to manage our family's finances. That was our arrangement. He earned, I managed. And I managed well. From the very beginning, I understood something that most people never learn. The person who controls the budget controls everything. Roosevelt trusted me completely. He never asked where the money went. He never questioned my decisions. He just worked and trusted and believed in me. So while he was earning, I was building. Every week I set aside a portion of his paycheck. Not much at first, $5 here, $10 there, but I was consistent, patient, disciplined. I clipped coupons. I mended clothes instead of buying new ones. I cooked from scratch, grew vegetables in our backyard, found 100 ways to stretch every dollar. And the money I saved, I invested it. Not in anything flashy, nothing risky, just steady, boring investments that grew slowly over time. Index funds, blue-chip stocks, treasury bonds, the kind of investments that don't make headlines but build wealth year after year. Roosevelt never knew. Not because I was hiding it from him, he just never asked. He trusted me to manage our finances, and I managed them better than he could have imagined. When he died 8 years ago, I had been investing for 46 years. 46 years of discipline, 46 years of patience, 46 years of compound interest. My retirement account was worth $2.3 million. And my children had no idea. Now, if you are still with me, I need to tell you something. That Sunday dinner was not the first time my children had dismissed me. It was not the first time they had treated me like I was worthless. It was just the first time I realized how deep their contempt really went. If you want to know what happened next, how I showed them exactly what this housewife had built, subscribe to this channel. Press that button. Press the like button too. Turn on that notification bell so you never miss what comes next. And drop a comment telling me where you are watching from. Tell me if your family has ever looked down on you for the choices you made. If they have ever dismissed your contributions because they could not see them. I want to know I am not alone. Now, let me continue. The week after that dinner, the vultures started circling. First came Warren. He showed up at my house on Tuesday afternoon, alone, wearing his business casual clothes and his most sincere expression. Mama, I've been thinking about what we discussed Sunday. Have you? Yes, and I want to apologize if we came across as insensitive. We're just worried about you. Worried about what exactly? About your future, about this house, about whether you're prepared for what's coming. What's coming? He shifted uncomfortably. You're not getting any younger, Mama. There are going to be medical expenses, care costs, things you might not be able to afford on your own. And what do you suggest? Well, I've been talking to a financial advisor. He says the smartest thing you could do is sell this house now, while the market is good. Use the money to move into an assisted living facility, something comfortable but affordable. And what happens to the money from the house? We would manage it for you, make sure it's invested properly, make sure you're taken care of. There it was, the real agenda. They did not want to take care of me. They wanted to take control of me, take my house, manage my money, and decide how I spent my final years. I looked at my son, this man I had raised, this man I had put through college by saving and sacrificing for years. He saw an old woman with a valuable house and no visible income. He saw an opportunity. I appreciate your concern, Warren, but I'm not ready to sell my house. Mama, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. This is my home. I've lived here for 48 years. I'm not leaving. His face hardened. We're going to have to discuss this as a family. Discuss whatever you like. My answer will be the same. That was the moment I understood what was really happening. My children did not see me as a person. They saw me as an asset to be liquidated, a problem to be managed, an obstacle between them and the inheritance they believed they deserved. They thought I was a helpless old woman with nothing but a house and social security checks. They had no idea who they were dealing with. The following weekend, Denise organized a family meeting. They gathered in my living room again, all three of my children without their spouses this time. This was serious business. This was about money. Mama, we need to have an honest conversation, Denise began. I'm always honest, baby. Go ahead. It's about your finances, about your future. We're concerned that you don't have a realistic understanding of your situation. My situation. You're living alone in a house that's too big for you. You have no income except Social Security. You have no savings to speak of, and you're not getting any younger. How do you know I have no savings? Denise exchanged a look with her siblings. Mama, let's be real. Daddy made a decent living, but he wasn't rich, and you never worked. Whatever money you have, it can't be much. I see. We're not trying to be cruel, Patricia added. We just want to make sure you're taken care of, and the best way to do that is to consolidate your assets. Sell the house. Let us manage the proceeds. Let you manage my money. We have your best interests at heart, Mama. I looked at my three children. Denise, the oldest, who had always thought she was smarter than everyone else. Warren, the middle child, who saw dollar signs in everything. Patricia, the youngest, who always went along with whatever her siblings decided. And if I don't want to sell my house, if I don't want you to manage my money, then we might have to consider other options, Warren said carefully. What kind of options? Legal options, guardianship, something to protect you from yourself. Guardianship. They were threatening to have me declared incompetent so they could take control of my life. My own children. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger, not yet, something deeper. Clarity. I did not argue. I remembered. Every sacrifice I had made for these people, every meal I had cooked, every diaper I had changed, every tear I had dried. I remembered putting Denise through law school by clipping coupons and shopping sales. I remembered paying for Warren's business degree by growing vegetables and mending clothes. I remembered funding Patricia's wedding by saving every spare penny for years. And now they sat in my living room, threatening to take away my independence because they thought I was worthless. They thought time was on their side. They had no idea. I want you all to leave now, I said quietly. Mama. I said leave. They stood, surprised by my tone. I had never spoken to them like that. I had always been the soft one, the patient one, the one who gave and never asked for anything in return. We're just trying to help, Denise protested. No, you're trying to take. There's a difference. Now get out of my house. They left, reluctantly, exchanging looks that said the old woman has lost it. Good, let them think that. That night, I did not sleep. I sat in my bedroom, going through the papers I had kept hidden for decades. Bank statements, investment records, account summaries. $2.3 million, built slowly, patiently, invisibly over 46 years. My children thought I was a helpless old woman with nothing but a house and social security. They thought they could swoop in and take control. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The next morning, I called my lawyer. Her name was Alina Washington. She had handled Roosevelt's estate, and I trusted her completely. Alina, I need to make some changes. My children are circling, and I need to protect myself. What kind of changes? First, I want to update my will. I want to make sure my assets are distributed according to my wishes, not theirs. Do you want to exclude your children? Not entirely, but I want conditions. I want them to understand that my money comes with expectations. What kind of expectations? Respect, appreciation, recognition of what I actually contributed to this family. I understand. What else? I want to create a trust, something that protects my assets from guardianship claims, something my children can't touch no matter what legal games they try to play. That's wise. Given what you've told me, I would recommend an irrevocable trust with an independent trustee. Do it. There's one more thing, Corinthia. You mentioned your children don't know about your investments. They don't. They think I have nothing. May I ask why you've kept this secret? I thought about the question. Because I wanted to see who they really were. I wanted to know if they loved me or just wanted what they could get from me. And now you know. Yes, now I know. Over the following weeks, I put my affairs in order. I created the trust, transferring my investments into a protected structure my children could not access. I updated my will, dividing my estate not equally but fairly, based on how each child had treated me, not just their birth order. And I gathered evidence. I documented every conversation, every threat, every attempt to pressure me into giving up my home. I was building a case, not for court, not yet, for revelation. When the time was right, I would show my children exactly what they had dismissed, exactly what they had underestimated. And I would watch their faces when they realized the useless homemaker was worth more than all of them combined. 3 weeks after the family meeting, Warren made his move. He showed up at my house with a man I did not recognize, middle-aged, wearing an expensive suit, carrying a briefcase. Mama, this is Dr. Raymond Foster. He's a psychiatrist who specializes in geriatric care. A psychiatrist. They had brought a psychiatrist to evaluate me. I didn't agree to any evaluation. It's just a conversation, Mama. Dr. Foster wants to make sure you're doing well. That's all. I looked at Dr. Foster. He had the smooth smile of a man who did this often, came into people's homes, and provided the opinions families needed to take control. And if I refused to participate, Warren's face hardened. That would be concerning. It might suggest you have something to hide. They were playing hardball. If I refused, they would use it as evidence that I was not thinking clearly. If I participated, they would twist my words to prove incompetence. But I had played harder ball than they could imagine. Very well, Dr. Foster. Ask your questions. The evaluation lasted an hour. Dr. Foster asked about my daily routine, my memory, my ability to manage my affairs. He asked trick questions designed to trip me up, to make me seem confused. I answered everything perfectly, clearly, competently. Because I was competent, more competent than my children had ever realized. When the evaluation ended, Dr. Foster looked troubled. Mrs. Jefferson, I have to be honest. I see no signs of cognitive impairment whatsoever. Warren's face fell. That can't be right. She's been acting erratically. She's been acting like a woman who doesn't want to be pushed out of her home. That's not dementia. That's self-advocacy. Dr. Foster closed his notebook. I won't be providing a report supporting guardianship. There's no basis for it. He stood and shook my hand. Mrs. Jefferson, you're one of the sharpest 74-year-olds I've ever met. Whatever your children are worried about, it's not your mental capacity. He left. Warren remained, his face a mask of frustration. This isn't over, Mama. No, Warren, it's not, but the ending might surprise you. He left without another word. My children had tried to have me declared incompetent. They had brought a psychiatrist to my home, hoping to strip away my independence. And they had failed. But I knew they would not give up. They wanted my house too badly. They believed I had nothing else of value. It was almost time to show them how wrong they were. Almost time to reveal what this useless homemaker had really built. And when I did, nothing would ever be the same. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The failed psychiatric evaluation did not stop my children. It made them more desperate. 3 days after Dr. Foster refused to declare me incompetent, Denise called an emergency family meeting. Not at my house this time, at her house. I was not invited. But I found out what happened. Warren's wife, Lucille, told me everything. She had never liked how my children treated me, and she was tired of staying silent. They're planning something, Mama Corinthia, she said over the phone, her voice low like she was afraid of being overheard. Something legal. Denise has been talking to lawyers all week. What kind of lawyers? Elder law specialists, guardianship attorneys. She's convinced there has to be a way to get control of your assets, even without the psychiatric evaluation. Did she say what they're planning? She mentioned something about financial exploitation. She wants to argue that you're being influenced by someone, that you're not making decisions on your own. Influenced by whom? I don't know, but she's looking for any angle she can find. I thanked Lucille and hung up. My daughter was searching for ways to take my home, my freedom, my life, and she was willing to lie to do it. That was the moment I understood how far this would go. I did not panic. I had spent 50 years managing a household on a limited budget. I had stretched dollars, planned for emergencies, anticipated problems before they arrived. This was just another problem to solve. I called Alina that afternoon. They're not giving up. Denise is consulting elder law attorneys, looking for ways to take control even without a psychiatric evaluation. That's concerning but not surprising. There are other paths to guardianship besides mental incapacity. They could claim financial exploitation, undue influence, or self-neglect. Can they succeed? Not if we're prepared. And Corinthia, I think it's time to consider a more aggressive approach. What do you mean? I mean we stop playing defense. We go on offense. How? We expose what they're doing. Document the harassment. Show that your children are the ones trying to exploit you, not protect you. And when the time is right, we reveal your financial position. Reveal my accounts. Yes, show them, and a court, if necessary, that you're not a vulnerable old woman with nothing. You're a wealthy woman who has been managing her own affairs brilliantly for decades. I thought about this. For 46 years, I had kept my investments secret. Not out of shame, but out of wisdom. I knew that money changed people. I knew that if my children had known about my wealth, they would have treated me differently, not better, just differently. I wanted to be loved for who I was, not what I had. But now that love had been tested, and my children had failed. Not yet, I said finally. I want to give them one more chance. One more chance to do what? To prove me wrong. To show me that somewhere inside them, there's still the children I raised. The children who loved me for more than what they could get. And if they don't, then I reveal everything, and they learn exactly what they threw away. I invited my children to dinner. Not at Denise's house or Warren's house. At my house, my table, my terms. I want to clear the air, I told each of them when I called. I think we've gotten off on the wrong foot. Let's start fresh. They agreed, probably because they thought I was finally surrendering, finally ready to discuss selling the house and giving them control. They were wrong. The dinner was on Saturday evening. I cooked for 6 hours. Pot roast with gravy, mashed potatoes, green beans from my garden, fresh-baked rolls, peach cobbler for dessert. The same meal I had made 1,000 times when they were children. The same meal that had filled their bellies and warmed their hearts for decades. They arrived together, Denise, Warren, and Patricia, dressed nicely, wearing their most concerned expressions. "Mama, this looks wonderful," Patricia said, surveying the table. "Thank you, baby. Sit down, let's eat." We ate in near silence. They were waiting for me to bring up the house, to admit defeat, to ask for their help. I let them wait. Finally, over dessert, Denise could not contain herself any longer. "Mama, have you thought any more about what we discussed?" "Which part?" "About your future, about this house, about letting us help you manage things." I set down my fork. "I have thought about it, a great deal. And I want to ask you something first, all three of you." They exchanged glances. "What do you want to know?" Warren asked. "I want to know what I mean to you, not what I can give you or what you can get from me. I want to know who I am to you." Silence. "You're our mother," Patricia said finally. "We love you." "Do you? Or do you love what you think you can inherit?" "Mama," Denise looked offended. "How can you say that?" "Because 3 weeks ago, you sat in this room and laughed at me. You said I had never worked a day in my life. You said I wasted my life as a homemaker. You talked about this house like I was already dead. We were just being practical. You were being cruel. And then you brought a psychiatrist to my home to have me declared incompetent. You're consulting lawyers right now, looking for ways to take control of my assets." Their faces went pale. "How do you know?" "It doesn't matter how I know. What matters is that I know. I know exactly what you've been planning, and I know exactly who you are." I stood up slowly. "I gave you 50 years of my life. I cooked your meals. I washed your clothes. I helped you with homework. I nursed you through sicknesses. I sacrificed everything to give you opportunities I never had." My voice was steady, controlled. "And this is how you repay me, by calling me worthless, by trying to steal my home, by treating me like an obstacle between you and what you want." "Mama, we just want what's best." "No, you want what's best for you. There's a difference." I walked to the cabinet where I kept my important papers. I pulled out a folder I had prepared earlier. "I was going to wait. I was going to give you more time to show me who you really are, but I think I've seen enough." I dropped the folder on the table. "Open it." Denise opened the folder first. I watched her face as she looked at the pages inside. Bank statements, investment summaries, account balances. Her expression shifted from curiosity to confusion to shock. "This can't be right." "It's right. But this says you have." $2.3 million. Yes. The room went absolutely silent. Warren grabbed the papers from Denise. His eyes scanned the numbers, his face going from pale to flushed. This is impossible. You never worked. How could you have? I did work, Warren. I worked every single day for 50 years. I just wasn't paid for it. I sat back down, folding my hands on the table. Your father gave me his paycheck every week. He trusted me to manage our finances, and I managed them. I saved. I invested. I built something from nothing while you were all too busy looking down on me to notice. Patricia was crying. Mama, we didn't know. No, you didn't, because you never asked. You assumed I was worthless because I didn't have a job title. You assumed I had nothing because I didn't go to an office. I looked at each of them in turn. You called me lazy. You said I wasted my life. You tried to have me declared incompetent so you could take my house. My voice dropped lower. And now you know the truth. The useless homemaker is worth more than all of you combined. The silence stretched for what felt like hours. Finally, Warren found his voice. Mama, this changes things. We had no idea if we had known. What? If you had known I was wealthy, you would have treated me differently. That's exactly why I never told you. But we were just trying to help. You were trying to take. Don't pretend otherwise. I heard what you said about guardianship. I know about the lawyers Denise has been consulting. I know everything. Denise's face hardened. Fine, you have money. Congratulations. But that doesn't change the fact that you're 74 years old, living alone, and eventually you're going to need help. I might, but that help won't come from people who called me worthless, who tried to steal my home, who saw me as nothing but an obstacle. So what are you saying? You're cutting us off. I'm saying that my will has been updated. My assets are in a trust that none of you can touch, and my future care will be managed by professionals I have chosen, not family members who have proven they cannot be trusted. Patricia burst into sobs. Mama, please, we made mistakes. We're sorry, don't do this. I'm not doing anything, Patricia. You did this, all of you. You showed me exactly who you are, and now you have to live with the consequences. They tried to argue. They tried to apologize. They tried to explain. But I was done listening. Dinner is over. Please leave. Mama. I said leave. One by one, they stood and walked toward the door. Denise was the last to go. She turned at the threshold, her face a mixture of anger and desperation. This isn't fair, Mama. We're your children. We deserve. You deserve nothing. You earn things, and you've earned exactly what you're getting. I closed the door in her face. That night, I sat alone in my living room. The same room where they had laughed at me. The same room where they had threatened me. The same room where I had just revealed the secret I had kept for 46 years. I felt empty, not triumphant, not satisfied, just empty. I had wanted so badly to be wrong about them. I had hoped that when they learned the truth, they would apologize sincerely, recognize their mistakes, try to rebuild our relationship on honest terms. Instead, they had immediately started calculating, figuring out how to get access to my money, looking for new angles, new approaches. Even Patricia, the baby, had been more upset about losing an inheritance than about hurting her mother. They did not love me. They never had, not really. They loved what I could give them, what I could do for them, what they could take. And now that they knew I had something worth taking, they would never stop trying. The next morning, I called Alina. They know about the money now. How did they react? Exactly as I expected. Shock, then calculation. They're already figuring out their next move. Are you prepared for that? I am, but I need your advice on something. What is it? Is there any way they can challenge my trust, force access to my assets? Not easily. The trust is ironclad, but they could try other approaches, undue influence claims, allegations that you weren't competent when you created the trust. Dr. Foster already said I'm completely competent. That helps, but they might try to find a different doctor. one who's willing to say what they want to hear. I thought about this. What if I document everything? Create a record so complete that no court could possibly side with them. That would strengthen your position significantly. What did you have in mind? Video testimony, recorded conversations, a comprehensive file showing that I've been fully competent throughout this process and that my children have been trying to manipulate and exploit me. That's smart, very smart. I've had 50 years of practice being smart. It's about time someone noticed. Over the following week, I built my case. I recorded video statements explaining my financial history, how I had saved and invested for decades, how I had managed the household budget, how I had built wealth through discipline and patience. I documented every interaction with my children, every phone call, every visit, every attempt to pressure me. And I gathered witnesses, Lucille, Warren's wife, my neighbors who had watched my children's behavior, friends from church who could testify to my mental sharpness. I was building a fortress, an unassailable wall of evidence that would protect me from whatever my children tried next. They tried a lot. Denise called constantly, alternating between threats and manipulation. One day she would be sweet, apologetic, begging for forgiveness. The next she would be cold, warning me about the consequences of cutting her off. Warren stopped calling and started scheming. Lucille reported that he was meeting with lawyers almost daily, looking for any legal avenue to challenge my trust. And Patricia sent long, tear-stained letters about how much she loved me, how sorry she was, how she would do anything to make things right. I did not respond to any of them. I had given them 50 years of my life. I had given them one final chance to prove themselves. They had failed. Now they would learn what it meant to live without the mother they had taken for granted. 3 weeks after the dinner revelation, something unexpected happened. Patricia's husband, David, came to see me alone. He stood on my porch, looking nervous and uncomfortable. "Mama Corinthia, I need to tell you something. Something Patricia doesn't know I'm telling you." "What is it, David?" "It's about Denise, about what she's really planning." He looked over his shoulder, as if afraid someone might be watching. "She's not just trying to get your money. She's trying to prove you obtained it illegally. She's claiming you stole from your husband's accounts. She's going to accuse you of financial crimes." My blood ran cold. "She's going to try to have you arrested, Mama Corinthia, and she's already found a prosecutor willing to listen." Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. David stood on my porch, his face pale with fear. "She's been planning this for 2 weeks, ever since the dinner. She couldn't find a way to break the trust, so she decided to attack the source, to claim the money was never yours to begin with." "On what grounds?" "She's saying you diverted funds from your husband's accounts without his knowledge, that you stole from the family for decades. She's calling it financial elder abuse against your own husband. Roosevelt has been dead for 8 years." "I know, but Denise says that doesn't matter. She's claiming the theft happened while he was alive and that the money belongs to his estate, which means it belongs to his children." I felt the ground shift beneath me. My own daughter was accusing me of stealing from my husband, the man I had loved for 53 years, the man who had trusted me with everything. "Does Patricia know about this?" David hesitated. "She knows Denise is planning something, but she doesn't know the details. She's been going along with whatever Denise says, like always." "And Warren?" "He's fully involved. He's the one who found the prosecutor, some ambitious assistant DA who's looking for a high-profile case." "What's the prosecutor's name?" "Marcus Webb. He handles financial crimes." "Marcus Webb. I wrote the name in my memory." "David, why are you telling me this?" He looked at the ground. "Because it's wrong. What they're doing to you is wrong. Patricia cries herself to sleep every night because she knows it's wrong. But she won't stand up to Denise. She never has." "And you, are you willing to stand up?" He met my eyes. "I'm here, aren't I? I'm risking my marriage to warn you. if Denise finds out I came here. She won't find out from me. Thank you, Mama Corinthia. He turned to leave, then stopped. There's one more thing. The prosecutor is planning to subpoena your financial records, all of them. If there's anything that looks questionable, anything that could be twisted. There's nothing to twist. Everything I did was legal. Everything. I believe you, but Denise has been telling a different story, and she can be very convincing. He walked to his car and drove away. And I stood on my porch, watching him go, feeling something I had not felt in a long time. Fear. That was the moment I understood the full scope of what I was facing. My children were not just trying to take my money. They were trying to destroy me, to label me a criminal, to drag my name through the mud so they could claim what they believed was rightfully theirs. They did not care about truth. They did not care about justice. They only cared about winning. But they had made one mistake. They assumed I would not fight back. I called Alina within the hour. We have a problem, a serious problem. I told her everything David had revealed. The accusation of theft, the prosecutor, the plan to subpoena my records. Alina listened in silence, then spoke carefully. This is a dangerous accusation, Corinthia. Financial elder abuse is a serious crime if a prosecutor decides to pursue charges. But I didn't steal anything. Roosevelt knew exactly what I was doing. Did he ever acknowledge it in writing, in any documented form? I thought back. We never talked about it formally. He trusted me. He gave me his paycheck and I managed everything. That's the problem. Without documentation, it's your word against your children's claims. And they're going to argue that a man with dementia or diminished capacity was exploited by his wife. Roosevelt didn't have dementia. He was sharp until the day he died. Can you prove that? I felt a knot forming in my stomach. His medical records should show. Medical records can be interpreted different ways, especially by a prosecutor looking to build a case. So what do? We fight, but we need to be smart about it. We need to find evidence that Roosevelt knew about and approved of your financial management, and we need to find it before the prosecutor starts digging. What kind of evidence? Letters, statements, witnesses who heard him talk about your arrangement, anything that shows he was aware of what you were doing and supported it. I thought about the past, about 50 years of marriage, about a man who trusted me completely but rarely put things in writing. I'll search, there might be something. Search quickly, Corinthia, we don't have much time. I spent the next 3 days going through every box, every drawer, every file in my house. I searched the attic, where decades of papers were stored in dusty containers. I searched Roosevelt's old desk, which I had kept exactly as he left it. I searched the garage, the basement, every corner where memories might be hiding. And I found something. A letter, written by Roosevelt, dated 15 years before he died. My dearest Corinthia, I don't say this enough, but I need you to know how grateful I am for everything you do. You take my paycheck every week and turn it into miracles, food on the table, clothes on our backs, a roof over our heads. I know you've been saving money. I know you've been investing it, building something for our future. I don't pretend to understand all the details, but I trust you completely. You're smarter with money than I ever was. I just wanted to put it in writing in case something ever happens to me. Everything we have, we built together. You deserve half of everything, no, more than half. You deserve credit for all of it. With all my love. Roosevelt. I held the letter with trembling hands. He knew, he had always known, and he had written it down. This letter was my salvation. I called Alina immediately. I found something, a letter from Roosevelt. He knew about the investments. He approved of them. He even said I deserve credit for everything we built. That's exactly what we need. Bring it to my office immediately. We need to make copies, have it authenticated, prepare to use it in your defense. Will it be enough? It should be. A letter in your husband's own handwriting, explicitly acknowledging and approving of your financial management. that destroys their entire case. What about the prosecutor? Once we present this evidence, any reasonable prosecutor will back off. The accusation was based on the claim that you acted without your husband's knowledge. This letter proves otherwise. I felt a weight lift from my chest. Thank you, Alina. Don't thank me yet. We still need to deal with your children. They're not going to give up easily. I know, but now I have the truth on my side. The truth is a powerful weapon, Corinthia. Let's make sure we use it well. 2 days later, I received an official notification. The prosecutor's office was opening a preliminary investigation into allegations of financial misconduct. I was being asked to voluntarily provide financial records and submit to an interview. It was not an arrest, not yet, but it was the first step toward one. I called Alina. They're moving forward. I expected this. They probably want to see what you have before they commit to a full case. What do? We cooperate partially. We provide some records enough to show good faith, but we hold back the letter for now. Why? Because I want to see how far they're willing to go. If the prosecutor is serious, he'll push forward. If he's just doing your daughter a favor, he'll back off when he sees the evidence is weak. And if he pushes forward, then we present the letter, and we file a countersuit against Denise for malicious prosecution. Can we do that? If she knowingly made false accusations to harm you, yes. And based on what David told you, she knows exactly what she's doing. The investigation moved slowly. I provided the requested records, bank statements, investment documents, tax returns, everything that showed a clear, legal paper trail of my financial activities. The prosecutor's office reviewed them for weeks. They found nothing improper. Everything was documented. Everything was legal. But they did not close the case. Alina warned me this might happen. The prosecutor is probably under pressure from your daughter. He doesn't want to give up without something to show for his efforts. So what happens now? They'll ask for an interview. They'll try to trip you up, get you to say something they can use. Should I refuse? No, that would look like you have something to hide. We'll do the interview, but on our terms, with me present, with every question documented. And the letter. We save it for when it will have maximum impact. If the prosecutor tries to move forward with charges, we present it then. It will destroy their case and embarrass everyone involved. The interview was scheduled for a Tuesday afternoon. I dressed carefully, dignified but not flashy. I wanted to look like exactly what I was, a 74-year-old woman who had done nothing wrong. Alina accompanied me to the prosecutor's office. Marcus Webb was younger than I expected, maybe 40, with sharp eyes and an ambitious smile. Mrs. Jefferson, thank you for coming in. I have nothing to hide, Mr. Webb. I'm sure you don't. This is just a routine inquiry. We have some questions about your financial history. Ask your questions. He started with the basics. How long had I been married? When did my husband die? What was our financial arrangement? I answered truthfully, calmly. Then he got to the real questions. Mrs. Jefferson, your investment accounts show significant growth over several decades. Can you explain how a woman with no income accumulated over $2 million? I saved, I invested, I was disciplined. But the money you invested came from your husband's income, correct? It came from our household budget, money I managed. Did your husband know you were investing this money? I looked at him steadily. Yes, he knew. Can you prove that? I can. His eyebrows rose. You have documentation. I have a letter, written by my husband, in his own handwriting, explicitly acknowledging and approving of my financial management. Webb's face changed. The confident smile faltered. Why didn't you provide this letter earlier? Because you didn't ask. You asked for financial records. I provided them. You never asked about my husband's knowledge or consent. I'd like to see this letter. Alina spoke up. We'll provide a copy. But Mr. Webb, I think we both know where this is going. Your case is based on the premise that my client acted without her husband's knowledge. This letter destroys that premise completely." Webb was quiet for a moment. "I'll need to review the letter before making any decisions." "Of course, but I want you to understand something, Mr. Webb." Elena leaned forward. "This investigation was initiated based on accusations from my client's daughter, accusations that were knowingly false. If you proceed with charges after seeing this evidence, we will file a complaint with the state bar, and we will pursue civil action against everyone involved." "Is that a threat?" "It's a statement of fact. You have a choice here, Mr. Webb. You can do the right thing and drop this investigation, or you can continue down a path that will end your career." We left the prosecutor's office with the letter, still in Elena's briefcase. "What happens now?" I asked. "We wait. Webb needs time to save face. He can't drop the investigation immediately without looking foolish, but he will drop it. The evidence is overwhelming." "And Denise?" "That's a different matter. What she did was malicious. She made false accusations to a prosecutor, trying to have her own mother arrested." "Can I take action against her?" "You can. The question is whether you want to." I thought about my daughter, this woman I had raised, this woman who had tried to destroy me. "Yes, I want to. I want her to understand that actions have consequences." "Then we'll prepare a civil suit for malicious prosecution, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and tortious interference with your estate." "Will it work?" "With the evidence we have, absolutely. Denise is about to learn a very expensive lesson." The investigation was dropped 3 weeks later. The prosecutor's office issued a quiet statement saying there was insufficient evidence to proceed. But I was not satisfied with quiet. I had been accused of stealing from my own husband. My name had been dragged through the mud. My character had been questioned. Someone was going to pay for that. And I knew exactly who. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The civil lawsuit was filed on a Tuesday morning. Elena had prepared everything meticulously. The complaint named Denise as the primary defendant, with Warren listed as a co-conspirator. The charges were serious: malicious prosecution, intentional infliction of emotional distress, defamation, and tortious interference with inheritance. The damages we sought, $500,000. Not because I needed the money. I had more than enough, but because I wanted Denise to feel the weight of what she had done. I wanted her to understand that attacking your own mother had a price. And I wanted the world to know the truth. The lawsuit made the news. Not front-page news, but enough. Local papers picked up the story. Elderly woman sues daughter for false criminal accusations. The details emerged: the failed guardianship attempts, the psychiatric evaluation that backfired, the criminal investigation based on lies. People started talking. Neighbors, church members, friends. For the first time, my children's behavior was exposed to public scrutiny, and they did not like it one bit. Denise called me the day after the lawsuit was filed. I let it go to voicemail, then I listened. "Mama, this is insane. You're suing your own daughter over a misunderstanding. I was just trying to protect the family, to make sure Daddy's money went where it was supposed to go." Her voice shifted from angry to pleading. "Please, Mama, drop the lawsuit. We can work this out as a family. We don't need lawyers and courts involved. I'm sorry if I went too far. I was just worried about you." I saved the message. Another piece of evidence for my file. Warren's response was different. He did not call. He did not plead. He hired his own lawyer and filed a countersuit, claiming I was an unfit parent who had emotionally abused my children by withholding affection and financial support. Emotional abuse. From the mother who had sacrificed everything for them. From the woman who had put them through college, fed them, clothed them, loved them unconditionally for decades. Elena was not concerned. "It's a desperation move. He has no evidence, no witnesses, Nothing but wild accusations designed to muddy the waters. Will it work? No, but it will make the trial messier, more expensive. He's hoping you'll settle just to make it go away. I'm not settling. I didn't think you would. Patricia tried a different approach. She came to my house, alone, unannounced, and knocked on my door with tears already streaming down her face. Mama, please, I can't take this anymore. I let her in, not because I had forgiven her, but because I wanted to hear what she had to say. The lawsuit is tearing our family apart. Warren won't speak to anyone. Denise is talking about declaring bankruptcy to avoid paying damages, and I'm caught in the middle. You chose to be in the middle, Patricia. You could have stood up for me. You could have told your sister and brother that what they were doing was wrong. I know I should have, but they're my family too. I didn't want to take sides. You took a side when you signed those statements supporting the guardianship petition. You took a side when you went along with everything Denise planned. Neutrality is not an option when your mother is being attacked. Patricia sobbed harder. What can I do? How can I make this right? I studied my youngest child, this woman who had always been a follower, who had never found the courage to stand on her own. You can testify. What? At the trial, you can tell the truth about what Denise and Warren planned, about how they pressured you to go along, about everything you saw and heard. They'll never forgive me. They've already proven they don't know what forgiveness means. The question is whether you want to be on the right side of history or whether you want to go down with them. Patricia wiped her eyes. I need to think about it. Think quickly. The trial is in 6 weeks. The weeks before the trial were intense. Alina prepared me for testimony. We reviewed documents, practiced responses, anticipated every attack the defense might make. David, Patricia's husband, agreed to testify about what he had overheard. Lucille, Warren's wife, provided a written statement supporting my account of events. And I gathered one final piece of evidence. A video recording. I had been recording conversations in my home for months, ever since my children started their campaign against me. I had footage of Warren threatening me, footage of Denise dismissing me, footage of every cruel word, every contemptuous look, every moment of disrespect. Alina reviewed the recordings with growing amazement. Corinthia, these are devastating. They show a clear pattern of elder abuse and financial exploitation by your children against you. I wanted the truth documented. I spent 50 years being invisible. I wasn't going to let my own story be erased. It won't be erased. When the jury sees these recordings, there won't be any doubt about what really happened. 3 days before the trial, Patricia called. I've made my decision, Mama. And I'll testify. I'll tell the truth about everything. Denise and Warren, they've been calling me constantly, threatening me, telling me I'll destroy the family if I take your side. What did you tell them? I told them the family was already destroyed. They destroyed it when they decided to attack their own mother. I felt something loosen in my chest, something that had been tight for months. Thank you, Patricia. I should have done it sooner. I should have stood up for you from the beginning. I'm sorry it took me so long to find my courage. Finding it late is better than never finding it at all. The trial began on a gray Monday morning. The courtroom was fuller than I expected. Neighbors, church members, reporters, people who had heard about the case and wanted to see for themselves. Denise sat at the defendant's table with her lawyer, a slick man named Harrison Drake who specialized in defending wealthy clients. Warren sat beside her, his countersuit having been dismissed the week before for lack of evidence. I sat at the plaintiff's table with Alina, calm, composed, ready. The judge was a stern woman named Patricia Okonkwo. She had a reputation for fairness and zero tolerance for nonsense. Mrs. Jefferson, she said after the preliminaries were complete, please take the stand. I testified for 3 hours. I told the jury everything. My 50 years as a homemaker, my financial management, the savings and investments I had built through discipline and patience, Roosevelt's letter acknowledging and approving of my work. I told them about Thanksgiving dinner, about being called lazy and worthless by my own daughter, about the guardianship attempts, the psychiatric evaluation, the false criminal accusations. And I showed them the recordings. The courtroom was silent as my children's voices filled the room. Warren threatening me, Denise dismissing me, both of them calculating how to take what was mine. When the recordings ended, several jury members were wiping their eyes. Harrison Drake tried to cross-examine me. He tried to paint me as a manipulative woman who had hidden assets from her family. He tried to suggest that Roosevelt's letter was forged or coerced. I shut him down. Mr. Drake, I was married to Roosevelt Jefferson for 53 years. I know his handwriting better than I know my own. I know his voice, his thoughts, his heart. That letter is genuine, and your client knows it. Mrs. Jefferson, I'm not finished. Your client accused me of stealing from my husband. She went to a prosecutor and tried to have me arrested. She did this knowing it was a lie. She did it because she wanted my money and didn't care who she destroyed to get it. I looked directly at Denise. I raised you, I fed you, I clothed you. I put you through law school by clipping coupons and shopping sales, and this is how you repay me. I turned back to the jury. I don't want revenge. I want justice. I want my children to understand that actions have consequences, that you cannot destroy someone's reputation, threaten their freedom, attack their dignity, and walk away without accountability. The courtroom was absolutely silent. No more questions, Drake said quietly. Patricia testified the next day. She told the jury about Denise's plans, about the family meetings where they discussed taking my house, about the pressure she felt to go along with her siblings, about the moment she finally found the courage to do what was right. David testified about overhearing Denise's scheme to have me arrested. Lucille provided written testimony about Warren's obsession with getting my money. And Alina presented the full documentary record, the failed guardianship petition, the psychiatric evaluation that found me completely competent, the prosecutor's investigation that was dropped for lack of evidence, the letter from Roosevelt that proved everything I had said was true. By the time the defense presented their case, there was nothing left to argue. Drake called Denise to the stand. She tried to explain her actions as concern for my well-being. She tried to claim she had been misunderstood. But under Alina's cross-examination, her story fell apart. Ms. Jefferson, did you or did you not tell Prosecutor Marcus Webb that your mother had stolen money from your father's accounts? I said I was concerned about. Yes or no, did you make that accusation? Yes, but... And did you have any evidence to support that accusation? I believed. Did you have evidence, documents, witnesses, anything concrete? No, but I thought. You thought you could destroy your mother's reputation based on nothing but your own greed. Isn't that the truth? No, I was trying to protect. Protect what? Your inheritance, your access to money you didn't earn. Denise had no answer. Alina turned to the jury. This woman accused her 74-year-old mother of being a thief. She tried to have her arrested. She tried to have her declared mentally incompetent, all because she couldn't accept that her mother, the useless homemaker, was worth more than she ever imagined. She returned to her seat. No more questions. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. When they returned, the foreperson, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, stood to read the verdict. We, the jury, find in favor of the plaintiff, Corinthia Me Jefferson, on all counts. I closed my eyes. We award damages in the amount of $500,000 to be paid by the defendants Denise Jefferson Moore and Warren Jefferson. $500,000, the exact amount we had asked for. But the money meant nothing to me. What mattered was the vindication, the public acknowledgement that I had been wronged, that my children had tried to destroy me and failed. Denise burst into tears. Warren sat frozen, his face blank with shock. And I sat quietly, my hands folded in my lap, feeling something I had not felt in a very long time. Peace. After the verdict, the courtroom emptied slowly. Patricia approached me, tears streaming down her face. "Mama, I'm so sorry for everything, for not standing up sooner, for being weak." I took her hands. "You stood up when it mattered, baby. You told the truth. That took courage." "What happens now, to our family?" "I don't know. That depends on your sister and brother, on whether they can accept what they did and try to change. And if they can't, then I move forward without them. I've spent 74 years taking care of other people. It's time I take care of myself." The months after the trial were quiet. Denise filed for bankruptcy to avoid paying the judgment. The court did not accept her filing. Her assets were sufficient to cover the damages. She simply did not want to liquidate them. Eventually, she paid $100,000 from her savings. Her house sold to cover the rest. She moved to a small apartment across town and refused to speak to anyone in the family. Warren paid his share more quietly. He sold his boat, his vacation property, some investments. He did not file for bankruptcy. He did not apologize. He simply paid and disappeared. I did not hear from either of them again. Patricia was different. She visited every week. She helped with the garden. She learned to cook, really cook, and sometimes made dinner for both of us. She was trying to be the daughter she should have been all along, and I let her try. "Mama," she asked one evening, "do you think you'll ever forgive Denise and Warren?" I thought about the question. Forgiveness is a process, baby. It's not something you do once and it's finished. It's something you work at day by day. Have you started that process? I've started letting go of the anger. That's not the same as forgiveness, but it's a beginning. And if they came to you, if they apologized sincerely, I would listen, I would consider, but trust, once broken, is very hard to rebuild. They would have to show me, not just tell me. I understand. Do you? Because the same applies to you, Patricia. You've made a good start, but there's still a long way to go. I know, Mama, and I'm committed to walking that road, however long it takes. 1 year after the trial, I threw myself a birthday party. Not because I needed a celebration, but because I wanted to mark the moment, to acknowledge everything I had survived and everything I had built. 75 years old, homemaker, investor, survivor. The party was small but warm. Patricia and David, Lucille, who had divorced Warren and become a friend, neighbors and church members who had supported me through the trial, Eleanor, who had become more than just my lawyer. No Denise, no Warren. But I did not miss them, not anymore. After the guests left, I sat alone in my living room. The same room where Denise had called me lazy. The same room where I had revealed my retirement account. The same room where I had fought for my dignity and won. I thought about everything that had happened, the betrayal, the trial, the slow, painful process of rebuilding. And I thought about what I had learned. My children had called me worthless because they could not see my value. They looked at a homemaker and saw someone who had wasted her life. They did not understand that the skills I used to run a household, budgeting, planning, discipline, patience, were the same skills that built wealth. They thought I was lazy because I did not have a job title. They thought I had nothing because I did not go to an office. They were wrong. I had built $2.3 million from nothing. I had done it quietly, invisibly, without recognition or thanks. I had done it while raising 3 children, managing a household, and supporting a husband. And when my children tried to take it all away, I had fought back. Calmly, strategically, devastatingly. If you are watching this story, I want you to remember something. Your work has value, even if no one sees it, even if no one thanks you, even if everyone dismisses you as just a homemaker, just a mother, just someone who stays home. The skills you use every day, the budgeting, the planning, the sacrifice, the discipline, those skills can build empires. Those skills can create wealth. Those skills can change your life. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. And if the people in your life cannot see your value, If they call you lazy or worthless or a waste, then maybe it is time to show them. Not with anger, not with arguments, with results. Build something, save something, invest in your future while everyone else is busy underestimating you. And when the time comes, when they finally see what you have created, watch their faces. That moment is worth everything. My name is Corinthia Me Jefferson. I am 75 years old. I spent 50 years as a homemaker. My family said I wasted my life. They were wrong. I built $2.3 million through patience, discipline, and quiet determination. I survived an attack by my own children. I won a lawsuit that proved my worth to the world. And I am still standing, still building, still growing. My family said I wasted my life as a homemaker. Then they saw my retirement account. And nothing was ever the same again. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Thank you for being here through every twist and revelation. If this story moved you, please subscribe to this channel. Press the like button. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss another story. And drop a comment. Tell me where you are watching from. Tell me if anyone has ever underestimated you. Tell me what you built while they were busy dismissing you. I want to hear from you. I want to know I am not alone. Because none of us are alone. We are all connected by the work we do that no one sees, by the value we carry that others take for granted, by the quiet strength that builds empires while the world looks the other way. Until next time, take care of yourselves, know your worth, and never let anyone tell you that your work doesn't matter. It matters, you matter, and anyone who says otherwise can watch you prove them wrong.